Uganda Eyenkya.
Yes, of course, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. I think you'll be catching, or wherever you'll be catching this interview from. I do salute you, of course. Good morning, right here. By the time we did record this, of course, as I told you, I'll be coming to you from Pastor Mondo and Dr. Franklin Mugisha's church. We are here already, we are set. We're going to be discussing a couple of things for those of you who are on Uganda Eyenkya YouTube channel, and as well VOA, my brother and my mentor, Dr. Ndugu Shaka Sali. Actually, he will be getting bits out of this interview. We shall be having more of discussion in regards to the church in COVID-19 and in post-COVID-19 era. How should that behave, or how should they behave? And since I told you that I'm going to be rubbing shoulders with Dr. Franklin Mondo Mugisha, he's already here set, and don't mind about the background. He will be telling you about the setting and everything, why he chose to be here. We found him already here. He's a good farmer and practices agriculture and farming so that much, not like these other pastors just who sit and wait for tithe offerings and other stuff. Pastor,
how are you?
Pleased to meet you.
Nice meeting you. It's a pleasure to have you in our village.
Very.
That's why I wanted you to drive you come to our village, and you see exactly what we do as
yeah,
people.
very good.
People who, I'm one of the people who think that life starts from where you started from. Charity begins from home.
From home.
Yeah, everything that we do out of profession are done after the beginning, after the start. Without that, then we are not able to be who we are. So I'm compelled, and I'm thinking that we need to. How do we survive? Many people are struggling because, of course, they did not plan. Foundation is very important. That's why we are back in the village, because our life starts from here. Most people want to come to the village when they're going to be buried. It's a pure way of African culture. But if we are going to see and discern the problems of the future, we must start from home, and we must find our basics. Now, regardless of being a pastor, being a doctor, being an accountant, being a lawyer, being everything, it still comes back, takes you back. But even when after you've done everything you've done, you're retiring, you're going back to your village.
Very good.
According to African. So, to me, yes, that's the first thing. We must start from home, and we must begin to home. Even the president has his own right to that.
At times he goes back.
He goes back to the village. Yeah, because that's
where
where life starts from. But you know, the young generation have not mastered the key of how to utilize back home.
So tell me about your passion for farming.
My passion for farming is, number one, do commercial farming. And I'm teaching young people that we should, even pastors, we should do commercial farming. The way the days are gone when we used to simply eat food. So we are farming for eating. Now it's farming for having something to put on the table. Most rich people today are people in agriculture, are people who are farming, people who are planting different kinds of food. So if you're going to become something in this next generation era, more the .com generation that's making money, go do farming, get the money of the .com generation that is in the city. So that's my ideology. My second ideology is that it gives you additional earning. I think I'm one of the pastors who don't believe at all that I should be looking at the basket, at the giving, the tithe and offering. I think that's a crippled way of thinking. I'm not that kind of cripple. I think better. My school of thought is that every pastor should do something for himself. When we don't do that, we'll start manipulating people to receive what they have, and we'll start surviving with them. So without them, you become the slave of yourself. Like in COVID-19, many pastors are struggling, even to feed.
Very good, very good.
One pastor this morning, someone was sending me a video of one of the pastors who 2 years ago was abusing me for farming. Today he was selling the church. His believers found him selling the chairs of the church, taking them so that his family can survive. I mean, I don't blame him really, in a real sense. He has not prepared himself. Lack of preparation determines of how we should go. even in politically, in governance. The moment we don't start today, the freedom of today, Black Lives Matter in United States of America, it started with Martin Luther, Malcolm X. Somebody had a foundation. Somebody had to start. And that's why I tell young people, I said, starting is not a problem. It doesn't matter how hard it is. It could even be militarily. Even could be with a lot of strength. But I can assure you that when you start something, a message knocks down.
True.
Water don't have power. But if it knocks for 100 million times, the stone will break.
Good one.
In Uganda, there is a way we sent timba tafa mugo. Naye mige yita timba.
It's true.
Meaning
just
one stick hitting like this doesn't kill a cobra.
Yeah.
But many sticks kill a cobra. So to me, it is a start. And when you start, you must understand there's going to be a struggle. There's going to be pain. There will be a lot of things. But as you struggle and you go on, poverty is a real battle.
Very good, Pastor. There are those who actually term this differently. I think COVID-19 has taught different pastors, in case we do have them in quotes, pastors. Who is a pastor to you?
A pastor is an example of a person whose lifestyle does not only define who Christ is, but also in the reality, who gives authority and open up a believer's mind to understand that after service, someone needs to live, needs to eat, needs to drink, needs to live. And by that, that's why I became a farmer. I look after cows, I have cows, I have cattle, I have everything. Because simply this is where I started from. But I didn't start that way. I started way back 14 years ago. As a preparation. I said as a fun, I said as a passion, as a tradition to keep, but I came to a place where I needed to do commercial farming. So I found out that, if these people can emulate me, do farming, do things. Like my church has not been affected at all.
Oh, very good. In COVID, you haven't been
affected? We didn't. We are the only church, I think, that knows that have been giving people. Government gave food. We gave. If you go on my Facebook, Dr. Franklin Mondo Mugisha, yes, I gave out 59 million as an individual, as the Mugishas, not even as a church. But we had saved that money for something else. But when people became hungry, I said, okay, let's go.
I think you're one of those pastors who actually did set the trend and the pace.
Yes.
After doing that, many of them came out.
Yeah, three of them actually came out. Roga Miracle Center came out after us. Pastor Mjingo came out after us. Pastor Senyonga also came out. But of course, I know that Pastor Senyonga did that politically.
Oh,
yeah, because you
like
can't.
Spiritually?
Not spiritually. He did it just to affirm it, and I can say that. Yes, because you can't tell me on 31st of December you're able to give out even the transport they have come to pray. Give out even the transport. And then you wake up in the morning, you tell me today, you're so merciful about the poor people. You can't make people sleep Monday to Sunday. They're sleeping in church praying.
Church, yeah, true.
What training are you giving to next generation? A pastors are stealing future from young people.
So Pastor Senyonga didn't.
Not only him alone. Every pastor who is keeping people in overnight, Monday to Friday, they are stealing in the name of spirituality and prayer. They are stealing people's future.
So
they are taking advantage of poor people. A young man who sleeps expecting a miracle than telling him to work hard, to tell him life is about a battle, and you tell him to pray Monday to Friday. In all the Monday to Friday, you have not taught him that he can be an entrepreneur. He has a dream inside of him. He did not study just to pray. He went to Makerere and graduated to think out of the box. You don't have a 30 minutes talk of inspiration.
On the pulpit.
You're just talking about Jesus. You're talking about just prayer. And you're telling them to believe in miracles, which is good. But I'm telling you, there are miracles already inside of you. God gave you a potential. There are potentials. The most rich place in the world is a graveyard. It's where we have doctors. We have dreams that have not been tackled on. It's where we have people that have never explored the potential inside of them. Every time you kill a potential in a young man, in a young woman, in the name of a church, you're killing and you're disservicing the country. If they're looking for a criminal, you should be the first one. People should be taught how to live. A church should be a place of inspiration. A prayer people discover the potential that God has given them to become who they are. When the church does, it makes you sober. So when you become sober, you have a potential as a sober person now to start planning and thinking out of the box. Because when you're drinking and smoking and you're on drugs, you're not sober. But then when you come to church, you become sober. So when we make you sober, it's the time we should bring people, business entrepreneurs, doctors, people who have stories that inspire young people to tell them you can make it. Mark Zuckerberg started that way. A guy who owns big stores started that way. Musicians started that way. They had a starting point. We must tell our generation that, look here, staying and looking for miracles is one of the ways. So who are the two people who have killed the next generation? It is the government that has told our young people that we must look at it to be well. That is wrong generation. In 1962, when we got an independence, there are two things that happened to Uganda. The governments, these white people, found us in a system whereby we had Gomborola chief, we had districts, we had everything. They turned it in a good way, but in a bad way. They came with a gun, they came with the politics, and at the same time they came with the religion. But you see, they shifted our mind of entrepreneurship to look at the government as a source of everything.
Just waiting for government.
Exactly. That's why we have young people, instead of thinking out of box, they are still being stupidly thinking about the government, how the government should be able to look at them. I'm telling young people, whatever changes we need to do, we must start with our own home. Our income must start. We must find a box. We must not, when you go into a blame game, a white man is looking at you as a source of stupidity. We are born bright people, black people. We are born with potential. We are born to explore who God has given us. We are born with ability. Every man on this planet Earth has been born with the genes to explore what God has given him already. But when you are sober in church and you cannot think beyond, and when you're sober, you are stupid 100%. So these churches who are keeping people praying Monday to Sunday in church overnight, depending on people who are working, 5 people are depending on one person. We are raising a generation of terrorists who will come and throw government after government. Out of lack, out of desperation, and what is going to happen, we are going to have a street full of beggars. We will have prostitutes. We have a generation today of young girls in Africa looking at Facebook and Instagram, slaying and breaching themselves, killing their natural skin and beauty they have got, spend the whole day opening up their legs, thinking that when they give out their legs to a certain man, they're going to survive. We are totally dreaming. We are sitting on a timing bomb. And this generation that is here does not see that at all.
So, Pastor, you authoritatively said that there are those pastors.
There are those pastors that need a fixing. There are those pastors who need a system. There are those pastors who need to be told that when people are sober in church, it's a time to capture them and teach them how to become the better chosen young people in the world. Uganda is the youngest country, 89.2% they are young people. We have a big grade, but what are we teaching people? Where's our civic education? Where is our roots and our memory? The days when young people thought they could have a big shamba, make money, sell to people. Where are our cooperatives? There are a lot of things that we must do. And we want to tell this politician that you are fools too, because you have fooled us too, taking advantage of us. Instead of teaching us and bring up the things that will help us, you've taught us to be beggars. You've taught us that we can buy, you can buy our right of vote. You have killed everything that African people should be standing for. And once we do that, when the church kills a young generation, when states kill the young generation, the future of a nation is completely gone. Something must start from somewhere.
Very good. I've heard a lot of stories about the pastor you just mentioned about, Robert Senyonga. There are some pastors who go to the State House, I don't know for what missions and visions and goals, and at times I had, according to my investigation, by the come to realize that there are those ones who are told to come on the pulpit to tell people that poverty is a curse.
I don't think State House is that literal, small way. State House is a big office, and President Museveni thinks better than that. This is a theology and theory engraved and synchronized with foolishness of African people by teaching people that the way of life of living is by curse. Once you start teaching people that they are cursed, you are keeping them in fear. There's one church which is my neighbor back in Kampala. There are people, they are teaching people that they are demonic. A girl can't work on her nails. She can't work on her life. She can't work on her character. She can't discover who she is. She doesn't even know who she is. She doesn't know what she wants to be. You're telling this girl you have a curse of your singer who died. What does the dead have to do with the living? Even the Bible says that. You know, it's a pure brainwash. And Christ has no association with such kind of people. When you tell people they are cursed, you are psychologically disarming them the right to discover who they are. These people are blessed people, but they don't know how to tackle their life. No one has mentored them to become who they are. Everything goes back to mentorship. We had our African mentorship. When people wanted to get married, they had people who were called Senga, the aunties, who would sit down the girls and tell them about the cleanness. We had uncles who talked to their sons and when they go to hunting. We had people who had capacity to explore the authority and the power, to know the balance of life. We don't have rich people in Uganda. I always say that. Because rich people are taking their children to America than teaching them how to work. That's when they die, their money they have made, that has taken their children to school, to bigger schools. Just a minute, let me explain this to you. That's why their welfare goes. Because rich people, they're supposed to mentor their children, tell them, you kids, this is where I started from. I started from farming. I'm driving this car of 300 million, but this is my beginning. So when long day you're gone, these kids, when the life puts them down, they'll be able to rise up. Your testimony defines their future.
True.
You must teach them to work hard as laymen, not as a prince, because life does not run around them. When you're gone, your kids will do. That's why you have wealthy men who have built big empires in Uganda and also in Africa. When they die, their kids, they don't know how to track the record and how to keep those companies. We have people who groom workers than their own children. So we have people who are rich today and tomorrow you cannot see them tomorrow. It comes back to mentorship. We must mentor our people. We have boys who cannot hold a home because we have many men trapped into adult bodies. So we have boys trapped into adult bodies. What makes a man defines a man in life.
Your family don't.
It is your character.
We don't have rich men here.
We have men who understand the definition of wealth. People you see in town driving good cars, they are people with things, with money, but not wealth.
Materials.
Wealth is inherited and planned to be inherited. Success without a successor is a total failure. If we don't teach our people how to succeed and appreciate what we have made for the next generation, then we have planned completely a total failure. And this is a problem not only here, all over the world. I've traveled to 69 countries of the world. I've checked out the minds of the people, balanced the rich and the wealthy, the strong and the power, how they end their life. That's why we have movie stars killing themselves. That's why you have men who are becoming so good politicians. Today you cannot see them. They're given a bread. You never hear their talk standing for what they talked about. Politics in Africa has been manipulated, brought people to their knees, because when you lure people who are poor, you can do anything with them. And that's what politicians have mastered. Even members of parliament have mastered that. And I want the world to know that. Let them be poor. You buy their votes. And when you sell your votes, you sell your future. You still stay in poverty.
Very good, Pastor. What's your take? I would love to pick your thoughts on the church being used in quotes by politicians, by politics.
Politics in the church today and the church is different. Everyone knows how he supports. I don't want to mention that, but I want to tell you that everyone has somebody he's mentioning to, he's talking to. And if we don't do that, we'll not define the difference. Today I don't see a difference between politics and the church. There are few churches who still stand on the word Jesus Christ, the Son of God, same yesterday, today, and forever. What Dr. Let Osborne taught me. There are few people who still stand for that and who believe in that.
You've been used, and like I'm not saying that you personally, but the church itself is now being branded as like where politicians have turned it to be like from pulpits, like to the grounds for campaigns, for everything. How has that impacted the church, Pastor?
The church has lost more authority. That's why church is not teaching people things that help them. They're teaching them they are cursed. They're purely politicians behind the pulpit, but not Christ-like. I'm telling you, the message communicated on the pulpit is different. That's why we have wars in church. That's why I have people who have moral authority to sit and say, even the last transport you have, get it out and give it out. Who is a thug than that one? You don't have mercy on poor people who how they're going to walk and go to their home. Okay, really, you have children, mothers, sisters who are like you? They need to know that. They need to know that. So when you define people in that way, it's not the right way.
Apart from you, do we have pastors in Uganda who still preach the gospel, the truth?
Oh yeah, there are people who preach the gospel. There are people who preach the gospel. There are people who believe in the gospel. There are people who believe in Jesus Christ. There are people who believe in the presence of God. There are people who believe in God. There are true pastors somewhere outside there. But there are people. There are people, the people of God. They're there. They're true pastors. I believe they're not even heard. They're not being taught like in America. There are powerful pastors who are not even on TV, but they're making an impact. There are people in the UK. There are people, as I said, I've traveled over the world where I have stood in a bigger pulpits, huge one, huge stadiums, and you've never had them.
In regards to COVID, I guess you've seen a couple of TV stations in Uganda which now broadcast the pastors. The gospel has changed. A few of them preach the gospel amidst COVID-19. They are now preaching about current affairs. I've seen a couple of them. The gospel has totally changed. Like, what are your thoughts on the change or on the migration of the true gospel to now preaching about what's in America, what's in US, about COVID, current affairs now? Not spiritual, but...
Well, I don't have any issue with that because a church is supposed to communicate information. It must be a communicator. And if they're talking about COVID-19 and talking about safety and health, that is well, I support them. They should be doing that. But of course, my issue myself is one. People, they have no zero distance. I mean, go to Chikubu, see what is there, and then you don't want to open the church. What is the incense?
So do you support the idea of opening up churches?
A church should be put up with regulations. Should have regulations
Like
that control the
what,
church. Distance, social distance. Have more services, but have people come to church and pray.
Can that be practiced here in Uganda?
It can, sure, it can, if the government wishes so.
Are we seeing masks in church services?
We should be having them. If for safety reasons, yes, we should.
Speaking of some things which have happened in COVID, there is a prophet, I know you've ever heard of him, Prophet Timbonye, came out to say that fact is he met Lucifer, but at first, before that, he said that he saw COVID coming from China, and he didn't want to tell the people because he knew they could actually doubt him. According to you, you've been into this thing for quite a long period of time. Do you ever sit there on the pulpit and say, no, I'm not going to prophesy this because of the prophecy and the magnitude?
I can't talk on behalf of Mbonye. Of course, you have to look for him and ask him. I don't want to say, I don't want to mention. To my intellectual capacity, I think it would be so low for me to discuss an individual like Mbonye. There's a little more much to talk about than Mbonye. I believe that I don't look at one thing. Certainly they say there are more good things Mbonye has done. So I don't want to be a myopic thinker whereby I have to discuss individual. No. It's so small. Mbonye is too small for me to discuss him. It's very, very small. I'm talking about national issues. I'm talking about generational issues. I'm talking about national problems. Him meeting Lucifer or not meeting him, what does it do? My foot.
Lucifer is scared.
Scared who? Who?
Of Mbonye.
I don't care. Where they met him, thank you. What trophy did he give you? Yeah, that thing's about what he will discuss about him. Whether he met Jesus or met Lucifer, that is him and his believers. It's too small for me to discuss. My brain thinks a little bit different.
So you can't discuss Mbonye?
He's an individual.
Oh, I thought he's a prophet.
No matter. I don't need to discuss it. The book has 66 books. The Bible has 66 books of the Bible. But you can choose to say, I'm going to talk about Jeremiah. I'm going to talk about Isaiah. But doesn't mean that Isaiah is not a prophet.
End of story. Speaking of a church in post-COVID, how should you behave as a church? Or how should the church behave?
The church should wake up. The pastors, leaders, the problem is not even the church. The problem is leaders. Leaders should wake up. This should be a laboratory for them and a class for them to teach, to be taught that life must be prepared. This has been a classroom for governments, for states, for everyone. it has been a good class for the rich. They cannot go to UK now. When they are sick, they need to make their hospitals better. I've been talking about these things. Please make hospitals a better place. Upgrade Health Center 3, Health Center 4. Now every rich man, whether he wants or not, he has a mother, he has a doctor in London. Even his doctor is under the bed. Tom, there's a man here in town who used to go to America every time he feels in fever. Like, that's flu. Take. He decides to run to USA. He comes back. He has a problem with the finger. Oh, I cut my finger. He runs. Man is running them out. But now, he has to be treated here. In Uganda, on the soil. He needs chigaji. I'm talking about Rivera. He cannot go. This has to be a lesson to every politician. The time can come when God can lock the world and you'll be subjected to one person. Even on the last day, this is just going to happen. All of you are going to be subjected to one God. This is just COVID. Everyone is in his position.
What are some of the lessons you've picked out of COVID?
I've picked lessons. People have been in my laboratory to know who is a survivor and who cannot survive. This has taught me that, as I said, that when it comes to health services, it's a different story. When it comes to life, it's a different story. To me, yes. Let it be.
Have you picked any opportunities so far?
Oh yes, me, depending. Poor people, when problems knock on their door, they are crying. Wise people look at the opportunity. Everything has bad side and good side. When a rich man dies, a man who's selling coffee is happy. A person who has spent time without eating meat in the village is saying this is nice. Somebody is celebrating, yet somebody died. Every time there's a death, there's an opportunity. When there's a problem, let me tell you. When COVID hit Uganda, one pastor was taken to prison. Why? Because he was tried to incite and open the eyes of Ugandans in his way that there's no COVID. In his way that there's no COVID. But to him, when I called him, I said the statement you've done is very wrong. Every time there's a problem in the government, their budget's drawn. There's a mafia group that drones. So every time you say, hey, don't move, there are people who are going to put you in. It's unfortunate the fellow thugs fought him there. But I don't know what discussion they had. I don't know what they had. Because when there's a problem in the country, their budget's drawn. So every time you stop a problem and say it's not there, they're saying, oh, think about a kit, a testing kit is on $3. People are selling it on $63, $65. How much money has gone there, has exchanged hands? So when you tell me there's a problem with the COVID, I'm telling you there are people who are happy. There are people who are going to reach this COVID. A man who was selling food got money, got a bucket. Where there is death, somebody sees experience. So I want you to understand, psychologically people like intellectuals like us, whenever there's a problem, we sit aside and wait and say, hey, what is next? Which ministry is this? Now, since Adam and Eve happened, from the 62 got independence, this is the only time when Ministry of Health has enjoyed life. COVID-19, we're going now to scientific election. Who has your national ID? Who has your national ID?
I have it personally.
Good. Who has your voting register?
The Electoral Commission.
Who counts your vote?
The Electoral Commission.
Who appoints it?
President Museveni.
Who has security?
President.
I'm coming back.
So what should that imply, Pastor?
Find out. Who appoints RDC?
It's the President.
Who appoints the Inspector General of Police?
The President himself.
Director of Prisons?
President.
Cabinet Ministers?
The President.
State Ministers?
The President.
Are you okay? So define yourself. Don't waste your energy. That's why I support President Museveni. Yes, others who are saying, tell you, supporting a Muganga.
So tell us what kuja
I love people power. I love their ambition. But they can only act as a pressure group, not as a party.
They can't do anything.
No, they cannot. When you do alliance, it means you're weak.
You want to mean the alliance between
that
Bobi
is in
and Besigye?
Kampala, go up country. The big supporters of President of People Power, they're online, and they're not in Uganda.
Pastor, you mean President Museveni is here to stay?
I don't think he's here to stay, because no one is immortal. It's only God who lives. But God forbid. Everyone who is supporting the opposition, all they're doing is abusing. They have to convince people like me, who is an intellectual, to find a reason why I should vote you. Abusing me does not make me vote you. And until young people understand that, they will not win majority of the people of such kind of mindset. We can ask, even make what we call analysis, how many people are in the ghetto? Not because they are no poor. They are poor people who support President Museveni, and they are majority.
True.
They're in Gwomba, they're everywhere. Do you know what they want? Is sleep, not change of governance. They have even nothing to do with the State House. You tell them, they don't even care what that chair, whoever is sitting in that chair. So to me, if you want me to convince me, you must convince me. Number two, the same thing that is failing to people who are in people power. The advice. The same goons, the same people that failed on the other time, they have come to take away the dream of Kyagulanyi.
Did you say goons?
You can define it or take it. If you have failed more than 5 times, what are you waiting for? Then if the same person is giving an advice, he's lowering in the same system that killed him. So you are crippled as well.
So it's a wrong idea for them to...
People power had enough power. When I saw them doing an alliance, that was it.
So it's the end of people power.
Alliance is in Uganda, not outside Uganda. And you need to know that. Number two, the approach of soliciting votes must change. The adverts must change. The social media platform must change. The systems must change. Advisors must change. The brain thinkers must change. The spinners must change. Spinners of the media must change. Me, I'm telling things people should be doing.
Has Bobi Wine ever reached out to you for this?
Few of them have reached out to me,
Okay.
asked me to be their consultant, but I've said no. I'm in charge.
I thought you could do that behind the curtains.
No, but the spinners are the problem. The people who have given them a methodology and systems of building capacity and bring people and mind to bring them down. It is done. Because what happens is that the systems that have been ruling Uganda is blackmail. In Uganda, when they can afford to blackmail you, they can take you off.
Because, Pastor, I know Bobi Wine is your son. I know. Have you ever called him and advised him?
No, that is private.
Okay.
I can't discuss it here.
But you see him...
He's a great leader. He's a great leader. He's a great leader. I salute Bobi Wine. He's a great leader.
But he did a very big mistake.
But Museveni
Museveni
is a father of leaders.
Bobi Wine is a good leader.
Yeah.
But Museveni is the father.
He's the father. Yeah, Muzara. The system that is making Bobi Wine is Museveni's system. You know, when someone plays the music and you dance on it, he's the one who knows the tune and the beats and the beats. There's nothing opposition. Museveni does something, they act. There's nothing they can create. Me, I tell you the truth. The opposition would be very far. But the problem with the opposition, they are making noise, they are abusive, they are fighting. Instead of doing groundwork. And once you miss that, you miss the future. So politically, people like us who study political science, we look at it that and cast eyes ahead of time and we say no. Here you're doing a foundation. Bobi Wine is doing foundation for the next generation who become a president.
Why would Dr. and Pastor Franklin Mondo Mugisha support President Museveni? What are your reasons?
Is my age bracket. Once I clock 40, even if Bobi Wine becomes the president, he doesn't need me. Because I'm not his .com generation thinker.
But I've seen him with many old aged up people.
If he became a president today, he will not even employ any of those ones. Because he knows the biggest enemy are those ones. There's nobody who is the best dangerous person like a failure. It's like you are married and then you're asking a woman who failed marriage, say, come and advise me how to run my home. Really? But you people, I don't know who's advising people power. Mom, and have a future. But I'm telling you, your Canaan is very far. Your Canaan land is very far because the systems that are running you are not proper.
Pastors, many people have been crying out for an alliance between.
I don't love movement system.
Besigye and.
I don't love NRM. No, I love Museveni. Tagala kuli NRM tondete. Ira no jewa no yamba de kayiro njja kubogo mutwe.
Atengoli yatandika.
Njja kubogo mutwe, njja kubejinya mutwe. Toleta ngo NRM sagala. Sagala njja kubbe kumutwe njja kubaka kumbi. Yeto ko mangano mukyalo.
Atenga Museveni ye yero.
Museveni muntu mulala. Etukwata bide mulitera no bya yero. Toleta. Twagala ku movement fuluma wano genda. Toleta wano Museveni kagwe njagala. N'abalala na movement sibagala. Bona bayayi.
Ate yatandika movement. Wabanga.
Base buli kintu kyonna Museveni kyazimbi. Sagala kubalabako. Sagala nakubabuzaako.
Museveni si yase movement.
Simanyi Museveni njagala. Museveni si movement. Movement abasajja bamuwamba da. Bamuwamba.
Is in captivity.
Kubanga kati if you can sell a kit $65. $65 and it's on $3. Neba nange. Sajja be mujoga mutujoze ni mutulia.
So recently,
sagala movement.
Mukwano gotamale mirundi. Byogera nebya zayoge. Akuba nnyo movement okusinga
sagala movement.
President Museveni.
Sagala movement.
Nakutama emirundi embera jali.
Nze njagala Museveni sagala movement.
Pastor. Mukwano gwe nnyo tama emirundi embera jali. Obyogera coach.
Mulungi. Kati tamale mirundi sagala kumwogera kubanga tamale mirundi yantendeka amawulire. So I can't. He's my master.
But according to his
tukyali atufa tujja kumalako. Bana abantu bajja kuterera. Ate ntaliza tamale mirundi size zange.
Go kubachi.
Sinde kyenkuba. Nze nungamya. Nze am here to direct how we should go. But I'm not fighting anybody. But I love Museveni. Jagala Museveni. Sagala movement.
Like, don't you at times corrupt your
sagala movement? Sagala movement.
Kuchi. Like, don't you corrupt your congregation?
I'm giving you my personal mind.
There are some pastors I know who
those people totawana abavu.
So Pastor Mono told me akuchitutu no gaba to.
I cannot do it. I cannot tell anybody.
But
that pulpit is holy. That pulpit is holy.
You don't take.
No. Bino bya femino bya mubitoke kibadde musanze mucha. Katunyumya mboza amalu.
Okuya ku certificate like election and the campaigns. Do you see of course President Museveni okusigala nga yenywezezza oba
ate yenywezezza anenyweza emeka naawe. Yali president wa Uganda. Abagasawe muno kuba mu byumba munene muyingira. Mwayingidde dda. Ovuga oluguudo tolujja wano olye Masaka teyina mbwa na mubbi teyina mukufu. Abeji abantu bayingidde bayumba. Ndebabulira President Museveni akyasiiga. Mwene bagalidde abapepa pawo. Mwene muyingira munju ni mwebaka.
Yayogera yekka.
Kati yagenda kujja sawa bbira ayogere. Mugenda kuwulira. Mwene mumwesunga nga bensunga kyakulya. Naye President Museveni musajja. Zikwagala. Naye sagala movement. Era bulijja wano yambadde movement. Ngenda bakuba. Ngenda bavuka bange bakwata amafumu. Tujja kukuba.
Abajjanga bambadde wano jero tobe.
Tuyogera nyinzo kwata n'ijjinya n'endiko. Tuyogera nakwogera sagala kuwulira. Sagala kuwulira babba. Sagala kuwulira.
Opposition bagamba mu scientific campaigns and elections bagenda kubabba nnyo.
Bagenda kubabba waliwo baabwe. Ani akuba obululu. Naye mmwe muli balalu. Nkutegekera akalulu. Kutera ballot box. Kukumira akalulu. Kakubalire. Nkuwe ekirabo.
Chairman wa Electoral Commission.
Era ndikyomanja scientific election zagala. Tujja kusavinga sente nyingi. Tujja kola ndugundo. Era President, I salute you, sir, for doing that. Kalulu kukalulu ka certificate twagala kati. Tusavinge. Tukole ngude zigende waffe. Tukole rural villages.
Abambagamba kalubandi kongeza ya ati
ati bakongeza ko kibakakubera ko kagwete nakive mukumu.
Nsonga bakite tu.
Tetu n'enkya bakakube kagwe bakarangirira Museveni awagule tugende. N'ebintu bituliko byonna byakwesudi. opposition never to us never was. They cannot. They don't have enough intelligence to do that. Tebalina.
So msumbanga tumba obanga tumaliriza.
Sawa zange zo kugenda kulisa ante zituse.
Okutunulirako ku ensonga byozoyogerako ekya beauty versus brains. Ogamba nti mu Uganda oba mu Kampala tulabamba walabo nabo nabanyirira wabalungi. According to you obulungi obudefining na ki pastor nga tulaba ensusuuti simanyi bagotoziraba
susuuti zaawa wada mutunawo nenkwengeza abawala yekuuse omuwasa namani nakubinga tana kwesiga kisigo na bata ne blue band baba parking ebintu ngajjawo byasooka kakebika blue band woza wakulya wakwesiga bizigo agawala gali omugatudde omuwala yena ali define empisa define okukasi omukazi ne bamumnywako amata naye ng'ekimuvaamu mpisa mukama kivumbi totawaana omukazi nga mwenzi totawaana abakazi muwesenda wana abakazi abasajja abali eyo weesuddiya naawe namukyalanga namutera bizinesi mu kibuga ali yakulimba tekiriyo omukazi bamukwana bamutwala bamukuba bamutwala mukazi wo naye mutudaawo wenotundulawo lona mukazi ayimegende eddukulu lyawo bamutwala misana logi zikola misana tunula kubiri luguudo lwoyitamu luliko ebipande bisatu ekyeddwaliro somero masabo na logi ebi buli luguudo lukwateko agali amayumba logi lwaki waliwo abasula waliwo abayingirayo emisana teeka kamera booto olaiku logi muliwo mukaziyingiramu zifuluma gani mama waliyo meeting ya kikaaki omanyi mutula wansi omukazi omuwadde business ya $1,000,000 akolera mu kizimbe owakawunga n'ayita owekikopo ky'obuugi n'ayita owakalega n'abayita leeta owobugato atambutembe y'obugato leeta ali ku $1,000,000 meka 10 olunaku esente z'atunze atunze $5,000 ku $5,000 gyakakosezaako aliddeko emmere asula kawempe gwembula business egenda okuyimira naye tuna omuyindi asula waggulu akolera wansi emmere bajja waggulu bagireeta wansi nga mutandika nti babaloga omanyi pulaani y'abaana Uganda naye kati abawala abalungiza empisa omuwala ateekuba nga asamba abantu ekitiibwa ekitundu kye bayita ekikazi kidefininga nnyo karakita ya maama bw'omala okuba nga omaze okufuna ngaoyingidde mu nsonga z'abakyala owolanse kufuuka maama bwe tutakola bwe tuti nga tusomesa abantu nti ekiri mu ggwe kinene kikulu kyamaanyi kikufuula avunaanyizibwa nga maama gwe ggwanga betuliko tuzanya mboozi tunyumya mboozi
nga tumaliza muyindi ky'omukyala golaba nti she's beautiful according to the description gyogedeko
Julian mukazi alwanya entalo oyo veteran bamubreakinze afiiridde omwana mukama yozi yafunye omwana mulala to me she defines the structure of a woman mukazi akola shwegi mu mwaka nasigala nga mugagga naye bana bebivulu bamala kweyambula nobalaba nga wana beyambudde bali ku stage tasaze byenkwawa ali awo ali akayimba atuya nyina alimenja gemfutukamu akawowo kalaba nga alinga akyuma okalimaa nomuwala waawe mpala aziraga omutamala okumansula kubeera ku stage kubeera musiru sigenda mu comedy anakola ebyekirala ani anoonya essanyu eri mwabagenda mu kilabu mwina stress kitwala abantu mu disco kubuuza birowoozo nsidde nywa amata gange tula ku nte zange nebulaga lina ebintu bingi ebisookulisa lwaki nywa omwenge lwaki ngenda mu kilabu what do I look for happiness somewhere from a human being when we have God and have intellectuals who think like me kilabu yaffe yanjava
musumati yo message abamu abagamba nti oli mu church for just obeeranga olinga ali ku spy network
which is okay but olina musango kyekikulu baji obusiri oli bwatu abasiri bali omu era akyogera omu anti-criminal
nze ndaba banja era mpulira banja
era bagambe di
nti wajja kuba
yati abusiri buli awo amagezi gano obulakula kutwala amagezi gemba wako ku TV gano bisaga biriga ebimenke bitambula ekiro gabi zombi pemandi spy ati kati gwe butayina musango oti aki spy yagenda yeyangirako nga yogera manja abusiru katonda kuwanga amagezi kati ba blackmail bali awo kakundi kali awo oyo mbega naye gwe ati ambega nga tolina misango kyekikutawaje
Abantu recently bakuba Busebbichi government egenda kuvaako pasi. Busebbichi no need a campaign.
Mubukube. Tomunako. Mujja kuva ku luguudo. Tomunategeera nti government egaba mmere. Kati obani yali side eti bye gwe ebyo okuba Obusebbichi buyambaani mwogalira ekyalo mubukubo Obusebbichi
Ine musumbe byogera watya Bobi Wine nawangula akalu najjanga president
era ajja kuleetaaga kuba nze siri musiru kikibanoonyeseza ne mujero mu kyalo gy'embeera singa siri muzigisi mu gesi timwadisi ne Bobi Wine ajja kunnoonya Wata anonyeze isoke.
Ebigambo bye bisembeyo mu kamera musumba njaga biri inspirational abantu obanyere Uganda Eyenkya
mugende mukole. Gende mukole. Uganda Eyenkya nnonje ngo ina sente nga weberera mu ina akamoto n'abaana bo. Uganda Eyenkya Mondo? Nino zange zimmala. Olonde ko ngangaba ngansebiriza. Olonde ko ngamvuze emotoka ekawa swap kati 15.
Mbade mayibona bera mu church ntoba offerings
ate offer attention ni ku committee siriko. Ina family member aliko.
Go sente zoli na yo contented.
Nkola. Ekibandesera mu kyalo. Nkola.
Okay, go on and inspire the world. Like now
mugende mukole mwabawala mwebereremu muve mu busiru. Obusiru butandika ngo bimwavu. Mwabasajja mwe. Newe wangu limu kikati yawe ngo ina amagezi mangi naye ngo limwavu. Omugagga omusiru bajja bawa amagezi kubanga agateka mu sente ge batwala. Obusiru okusalira mu ddwaliro mugendo kuzaalira n'obugezi ate n'obwavu. Bw'oba n'obusiru nga buli mixed n'obwavu owedde mutugende tukole muve mu byokwesudde bwe baka ekiro nga teri akulibya nga teri akulaba ng'owomudde otandika okulya ebirowoozo ebijja landlord akonkona ninga weebase ninga matutaliiwo amabanja googera ebigambo ebitiisa ebyentiisa bibirooto byentiisa byemubeera nabyo nga musula kiro obwavu bukusalayo omukazi gogenda okuwasa bangi mwandyagadde kuwasa nga Kim Kardashian naye obwavu bubatadde mu stage yammwe obwavu bukusalayo gyogenda okupangisa anti tosobola kuzimba obwavu musajja gwe bukusalayo mikwano kijogenda okuba nayo mmere kijolya dwalo kiri ogendamu obwavu mpologoma gwe wennyini gwolwejja mu nnyindo wada pap lwewo mu nnyindo munnange lwana empologoma ekulyanga werwanako tandika twerwaneko tukole ebyamagezi bw'oba tokoze olunaku lwaleero Uganda Eyenkya egenda kukeeta ate owulinga ekutami Uganda Eyenkya yeetaaga abakozi si boogezi si bakubi b'amatama tandika werwaneko weebereremu tandika we bulungi mbagalizinako olungi Uganda Eyenkya ekulinze ng'olina akasente mu kyelaavu y'omugagga ennyuma nnyo laavu ng'ekusente kweziri n'abaana basanyuka tuddeyo tulime tuddeyo ku mirimu gya tatabufu gye baakola wagwe musinja gwanga lino kwe guyimiridde emwanyizi twalimanga n'ebitooke it's a matter of time will define who we are mbagalizonako olungi mukama abakume shalom Satyana.
Very good. Nozo mwide bulungi nnyo Dr. Atenga Musumba Franklin Mondo Mugisha. Of course tusazeho kujja okola ebintu ekintu kina okuinspiring okumotivating sakono okuza amaanyi entambudde nebagana ngo of course as usual kuvucha lockdown we atandika safari share we move together okulabanga tutambuza abantu abenjawulo they are my sponsors of course since February tuze tutambula fena so kugamba nti you can download Safari Share mob app ogenda against ku Google Play Store you can move ngawo ekigambo Safari Share kiri kigambo kimu omuntu ayinza okwebuuza what's the difference. Safari Share gives you the answer to all your solution to all your problems of course nti abantu abasinga we are used to this actually rhetoric ebaddewo we are now in the new normal. If you want to go to Mbale, Masaka, Mpigi, those long distances. I'm not talking about love. I'm talking about journeys and touring. So if you want to go to Gulu, now you have an app that will take you there, plus the driver. It's there are three things which define Safari Share: safe, affordable, and convenient. So if you want to move from Kampala to Mukono, there is no application that will take you there apart from Safari Share. You can download it and you won't regret. My name is Moses Wamala. Till we meet again, Uganda Eyenkya.
Uganda Eyenkya.